Danganronpa.
And just like that, we have been introduced to Girlfriend 29. Feels just like last week where we were trying to figure out the mystery of the bunny girl. Thank you all for the support since then, it's been a wild ride. And without further ado, meet... well, we don't actually have her full name yet. What do we actually know about her? That's where this review comes in. I'm Moonlight150 from A Slice of Gaming, and this is my quickie review for Chapter 177, Zetsuboda-san. As I always say, I won't be going over everything in the chapter, as I encourage you to read the chapter for yourself and support the official releases, as well as the fan scanlations that are being done to them. Those people are the real heroes among us. Now, on to the review. The chapter opens up at the end of the school day, oddly enough. That's a rarity in this series. As they are descending the stairs, they are chatting about a popular new children's fairy tale book called Yume's House in the Clouds, apparently popular with both kids and adults. As they are leaving, Rentaro notices someone passing by them on the staircase, which should be an immediate red flag, as I'm sure Rentaro's family has the deed to the roof of the school at this point. Being the only one to notice this, Rentaro heads back to the rooftop to where he is greeted by... Meet? Well, she never actually introduces herself. We only know her as Zetsuboda because of the chapter title, which tends to have the name of the girl when we first meet them. Rentaro asks what she's doing up here, fearing the worst that she may pull a Shiho from Persona 5. But she says she is wallowing in despair. And then a black and white teddy bear came out of nowhere. Sorry, wait, wrong franchise about a bunch of high schoolers only known for their very specific tropes. They zing, and once again, kind of like with Usa-chan and Matsuri, it just kind of happens and they stare awkwardly for a brief moment and then move on with the conversation. Honestly, I'm kind of missing the flustering. Rentaro asks what she is brooding about, to which she calmly says, saying the world is full of despair from every pore. He then recommends that they read the Yume's House in the Clouds book to help get her out of her despair, to which she responds with the revelation that she turns out to be the creator of that book. A beret hat then blows in on the wind and lands on the girl's head, as she says it got carried away off by the wind yesterday. To which Rentaro breaks the fourth wall, saying that having that hat would have given away that she was the author of the book, since it was only introduced in this very chapter. And you know what? Rentaro is right. It's even funnier considering what happened with this chapter earlier in the week. For those who aren't obsessively waiting for every new chapter like I am, the first 3 pages of this chapter of the Chinese release leaked a day early, giving us an early look at the new girlfriend. But the beret didn't come in until page 5, which, if we were to have seen the hat, we probably would have put 2 and 2 together, with the random kids book that appeared at the beginning of the chapter. It almost feels like the leak and the not revealing of the hat until the 5th page was intentional. No way that's true, right? Rentaro then tries to perk her up, saying that the fact that the wind brought her hat back is a miracle, proving that hopes and dreams are real. She then goes on a spiel about how the world is nothing full of despair. Cut to a flashback to her as a kid, full of hope and light, helping old ladies cross the street. But apparently being a good person got her bullied in school for some reason. So then she decided the only way to fight back against it is to understand their misfortune. So she spent the following 6 months learning of all the terribleness in the world, such as big words sprawled across a single page in a book like slavery and war, as well as reading everyone's confessions on Reddit, only to conclude that the world is irredeemable. Girl, it took you 6 months to come to that? I come to that conclusion after spending 5 minutes on Twitter every day. Oh, by the way, go follow me on Twitter. If I get enough followers, I may just start posting more often. After succumbing to the despair of the world just like Junko would have wanted, she finds some light in the world in children and their love of fairy tales. So she decides to begin writing fairy tales of her own to combat the despair of the world, giving both people young and old some hope and dreams to live for. After hearing this, Rentaro offers to help her by sharing the misfortune she has burdened herself with. She initially rejects his offer, saying she'd hate to snuff out the hope and dreams that are still in his eyes. After another monologue of the despair that she feels from the world, Rentaro then goes on with a monologue of his own about love. After a bit of back and forth, and also seeing that Rentaro literally jumps out of bed every morning hitting his head on the ceiling from being so excited to see his girlfriends. Dude, I cannot relate. She then goes on to say that that kind of love is only achievable through effort, which she admits that she isn't the kind to exert herself like that. But the Chad himself says that he's willing to pick up the slack and love her and put her in the effort all by himself, which gives us this beautiful art of her shedding a tear. Then, being the doomer that she is, feeling that she can't be happy forever, that something bad will eventually happen, dragging her right back into despair. Rentaro then reaffirms her that getting the happiness back is always possible, and honestly, that's just great life advice. She finally gives into this new feeling called love that she's experiencing, saying it feels just like a real-life fairy tale. Rentaro then asks that she only considers never coming to the roof again for the reason he thought she was. Turns out she wasn't planning on jumping, but wanted a reference point for her art, but got caught up in the despair thinking about all the terrible things going on in each and every house out in the town, which really is a depressing way to think of the town you're looking over. She then declares that her life goal is to share fairy tales in the search of salvation against despair, to which Rentaro just happily goes along with it. On to the review. This is a fascinating character and introduction, honestly. The simplicity of the chapter of just the two of them having what is essentially a 10-minute chat, it feels like. I'm really curious how she's going to interact with everyone else. I know a lot of people will read this chapter and think she's going to be a major buzzkill as she's the personification of being a pure doomer about everything, and I honestly don't think that. Looking at these two panels specifically, she doesn't wish to spread despair. She only wishes to wallow in it to turn it into inspiration to create more fairy tales to combat despair. So I don't think she's going to often be the Debbie Downer always bringing down the group, like many people think. In fact, she may just enjoy being around Rentaro's family because it is such a positive group, almost like a fairy tale itself. This is such a fun contrast to so many other girlfriend introductions. Like I've said before, it's the creativity that keeps bringing me back to this series. And thankfully, we don't have to wait long to see how she interacts with everyone and how the dynamic will be as the series isn't going on break this week. Hell, the Raws might even be out by the time you're watching this video. And that's about it. It's a very simple but effective chapter. I'm sure there will be a lot more to talk about in the next chapter, but in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, I launched the first chapter of the fandub of the 100 Girlfriends manga on this channel this past Sunday. Thank you all to everyone who has checked it out, and if you haven't, I'll leave a link to it down below. I hope to do this series justice and continue it for as long as I can. And to make sure that I can do that, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all on the next video.